Hello, my name is Brecken McDonald, and this is how I found my sources relating to the exploration of space after the semester. So for the first one, I will say that I had previously found the sources, so I will show you how I got there and why I chose that source. So the first one I used, the library, I did do advanced search, okay, and I did do a field in advances in space exploration, and I did benefits and risks for this one. Okay, and this one, I used the first one. I know this isn't always ideal, but after reading through it, I thought this was beneficial to the research. So the reason I chose this one was because with the beam, the argument, and exhibit, it offers expert analysis and data on environmental health risks. The CRAAP test, the currency, it's from 2023, so it's very recent. Relevance directly relates to environmental risk in space missions, and authority. Authors are affiliated with well-known universities, research groups. So when I did a lateral, I found that's what I did. I researched each one of these. They didn't have anything against them. So I used lateral in a bunch of my resources to make sure that the authors were credible, and the Science Direct is credible when I did a lateral as well. So accuracy, it includes quantitative data and peer-reviewed content. And the purpose, it's academic research, so it's unbiased and evidence-based. It's appropriate because it supports my evaluation of environment impacts with rigorous scientific backing. So for my second source, I actually used, I'm drawing a blank, source backtracking or forward tracking, I think it was what it's called, but it's where you use the sources from from what you're looking at. Okay, and let me find this one. All right, and this is the other one I chose. So the reason I chose this one was because it's, for BEAM, the argument, it raises ethical and biological safety concerns for traveling outside of, in the atmosphere. It's from 2016, so it's still relevant due to larger implications. Its relevance directly relates to ethical risk of contaminating other planets, and the authority is published in Nature, so it's highly credible. The accuracy, it cites previous NASA statements and NASA statements and scientific data, and the purpose is to inform and guide space policy and planetary protection. It's important because it covers ethical concerns about biological contamination and useful for my ethics section of this paper. Okay, let me get rid of these. All right, so my third source I'm pretty sure I used it from my first one. It's NASA. So the reason I used NASA was because of how, it's with the beam background and exhibit, provides mission goals and technical details. The CRAAP currency, it's continuously updated. Relevance, it's central to understanding current advancements in space exploration. Authority, NASA, leading space agency. Purpose, it's factual, mission-driven, and to inform and educate public stakeholders. It's appropriate because it gets direct access to real-time data and plans from the most authoritative source. All right, so that's my third one. My fourth one was I used advanced search again. This time I added, let me go back to my notes. This time I did the advancements in space exploration. I also did environmental, if I can spell correctly. And then I added a new line as well, and this time I did benefits and risks. All right, so as you can see, this one gave me less results because I'm being more specific in what I'm wanting. Okay, and then this one is the space debris environment and satellite manufacturing. Okay, read online. The reason I chose this was so it's ProQuest, so I mean that's a great resource. It's from Beam. The argument presents in-depth economic analysis. The CRAAP test, which obviously you hear me using a lot, I have found that the most helpful. Currency 2015, less recent but still relevant due to long-term economic discussions. Authority graduate level academic resource with citations. Accuracy contains cited data and economic theory through peer review status is less certain. Academic to argue and defend an academic stance on exploration, and it's important because it offers detailed economic frameworks, adding value to my economic evaluation. All right, so for my last one, I used Google Scholar. Let me get rid of these. So Google Scholar, you can type in here. I have always just gone to advanced search because I want my results to be specific. I don't need to go through 200,000 results. So for this one, I did it has to contain the word benefits. It has to have the exact phrase of advancements in space exploration, and then at least environmental, ethical, or economic. Okay, and I did towards the stars, technical, ethical, and sociopolitical dimensions of interstellar exploration. Okay, so the reason I chose this one was because Beam, method, and exhibit shows new technologies being adapted. The CRAAP test, currency, 2024. 2024, super relevant, current and cutting edge. Details and technologies that define recent advancements. Authority, peer-reviewed, and accuracy includes data, material comparisons, and applications, and purpose is to inform innovation in aerospace engineering. So it's appropriate because it gives technical evidence to explain how manufacturing is advancing the industry. So the summary of what I used through all of these was the CRAAP test, which was used to assess reliability and relevance of each source. The Beam method was applied to categorize each source for strategic use. Primary and secondary sources were identified and balanced appropriately. Quantitative and qualitative data are both representative examples, and environmental data, ethical arguments. Citation tracing could be used, which I did use, and then lateral reading confirmed credibility of authors and institutions. Okay, so for the questions, what did you learn in this course that you didn't already know? Before this course, I didn't fully understand how to evaluate sources for credibility beyond just checking if they were a .org or .gov or .edu site. I thought if it meant that, oh, it's true, I can follow it. Through the CRAAP test, I learned how to critically assess the source, currency, relevance, authority, and accuracy and purpose. I also didn't know much about citation tracing or how to use the Beam method. So that helped me structure my sources in a more meaningful way to resource. And then the most important takeaways from this course was learning how to ask the right research questions and then narrow it down into something more specific. So for my annotated bibliography, I did obesity and the concerns for it. Researching obesity, just that word, I came up with so many sources. I had to go through and use different wording. It was hard for me to go through and try to figure out what phrases work best. So I also learned how to use databases more effectively rather than relying on Google. You saw that I used the library more because I liked the outcomes better. And then lateral reading was another essential skill. I now verify sources and taking information at face value. So instead of, oh, this author says this, okay, cool. Now I research that author. Is that a topic they should be talking about? Is this website real website? So yeah. And then how did this course relate to or impact other areas in your lifestyles? This course changed the way I approach resources in all my classes. A couple of my other classes I had to write papers as well, so I became more confident in finding and citing academic sources, and I can tell where information is, complete or incomplete. It even helped me improve how I evaluate information in everyday life, like news articles or something I read on Facebook. I don't go through and say, oh, I saw it on Facebook, it must be true. Now I can, research a little bit more. And then, were the strategy, skills, and procedures of this course effective? I think so. The course was well structured and built skills step to step. Tools like learning the BEAM method, CRAAP, and guided database exercises helped break down a process that used to feel overwhelming. So I liked how you did, all right, this week, this part is due. Next week we'll move on to the second part. That was very helpful for building instead of just, oh, we're going to do a annotated bibliography, start working on it, it's due by the end of the year. I liked how, it was timed and helped me, understand why we do each part of it. The assignment that required us to evaluate and compare 3 different types of sources really stood out to me. It helped me understand the difference between primary, secondary, and tertiary sources in a concrete way. I also liked the citation tracing activity. It felt like detective work, and it helped me discover better sources for a paper I was working on in another class. So it was beneficial, not just in this class, but others as well. And then what I remember about this course, I used it so much, CRAAP. I'll remember to ask questions like, who wrote this, when was it published, and why was it published? And then I'll probably remember how to think critically about the information I find online. And then if I could do this course over, what would I do differently? I'm a procrastinator, so I would look at stuff a lot sooner than the night before it's due because, it was a lot of work, but I also would start using the techniques earlier in the semester instead of waiting until the bigger projects came up. Using Google Scholar or the resources we have, I would have liked to use that sooner than, just trying to go off what I thought I knew, if that makes sense. Early use of tools like Google Scholar, database filters, and citation tools could have improved my work a lot. And then what suggestions? I don't really have any suggestions. I would have liked to have grades a lot sooner just to make sure I knew that I was doing it correctly. Because we were able to fix something if it was wrong, but not getting it back for a couple weeks made it tough to make sure I was on the right track. But yeah, other than that, great semester.